Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News, July 10th, 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm keeping a very close eye on this Invest 92 in the Gulf of Mexico. Currently, this low pressure is in the northeastern Gulf of Mexico and is increasingly likely to develop into a tropical depression or tropical storm within the next day or two. And then it will head towards the Gulf Coast this upcoming weekend, bringing heavy rain, wind, and some coastal flooding, although we do not know the exact track of the storm. That right now is uncertain. Now, I've been watching very closely the National Hurricane Center. They have assigned a 90% chance of this tropical development, possibly as soon as late Wednesday or early Thursday. And the system will continue to move westward across the northern Gulf of Mexico. Now, the area of interest has been deemed, once again, Invest 92L by the National Hurricane Center. That's a naming convention used to identify weather systems that could potentially develop into a tropical depression or substantially into a hurricane. Now, I've been looking at some of the radar, studying it very, very closely. And if the circulation center of this area of low pressure becomes better defined within concentrated showers and thunderstorm activity, then the National Hurricane Center could deem it a tropical depression or tropical storm again by as late as Wednesday going into Thursday. The National Hurricane Center did mention that this tropical storm or potentially even a hurricane, I doubt that it will turn into a hurricane, but the storm surge will be significant, and watches and warnings will probably be posted within the next 24 to 48 hours. Recent computer model forecasts are kind of confusing at the moment. They're very conflicting. Some of the models are taking it straight up into Louisiana. Some of them are taking it into the Gulf Coast of Texas. Either way, the impact is going to be significant. Very, very substantial downpours of rain and some wind. And we all know the geographical conditions of the southern portion of Louisiana. So they are calling for, in some areas, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of rain, and that can accumulate within 24 hours. So that would definitely be substantial flooding throughout a very large region. So keep your eyes on this storm if you live anywhere in that Texas, Louisiana, or Panhandle of Florida, anywhere in that Gulf Coast. Stay vigilant. Keep your eyes and your ears on your weather. Now, if and when this flooding comes, and it's definitely coming, please remember, do not drive down flooded roadways. It only takes several inches of water to make your vehicle float. We've already seen some people have lost their lives in conditions where they're driving down roads that have been flooded. It doesn't take much to tip your car over, trap you inside, and then, well, you know, folks, it's lights out. Now, in regards to the potential impacts, regardless of whether a tropical depression or storm forms, the threat of heavy rain and flash flooding, as I said, is in play, and that will stretch into late this week and into this weekend. And it will be far inland around the Gulf Coast region. So once again, folks, you have to pay very, very close attention to what is occurring. Typically, these types of tropical depressions or storms produce their heaviest rain along the eastern track. So that is going to be along the eastern track of Texas and also Louisiana. Now, this can also affect southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, and also parts of the Florida Panhandle. How much rain will fall? It all depends on how fast the system moves. If the system moves very quickly, the rainfall totals will be less. If the system decides to stall, those rainfall amounts will be much higher. Now, one quick note in the development of storms of this nature in the months of July and August. Normally, in the month of July, these types of storms are not common in the Gulf of Mexico. However, as you all know, our climate and our weather is changing. Normally, we don't see these types of storms in early July in the Gulf of Mexico. Now, development for these types of storms will become common from here on out. As we move into the latter part of July, and as I've mentioned in my past live streams over the last few weeks, I kept mentioning that I think our activity in the Gulf of Mexico is going to be more prevalent, and we're going to see these storms developing earlier in the month of July. So for all of you folks that live anywhere within the Gulf Coast region and the Panhandle of Florida, and this will include the entire west coast of the state of Florida, you guys are going to have to be on watch continuously throughout July and August for these very, very heavy storms. The potential for hurricane development will increase as we move into the latter part of July. So once again, folks, food for thought. Make sure you are prepared. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching. Be safe out there, folks.